Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Don Barber, and I'm president of the Board of Trustees. And I asked for a few minutes this morning to describe our new governance structure that does not involve a minister for the upcoming year. And I just want to set the stage with a little background. Due to a confluence of events last fall, both the grieving and healing from the resignation of Reverend Margaret and the recovery from the short tenure of Reverend Tony Johnson, the Board of Trustees needed to make several decisions to bring stability and resilience to our church. Our previous leadership model had been very dependent on singular full-time minister for both managing operations and spiritual guidance of the congregation. Our partnership governance model establishes a minister as the partner with the board to run the church operations. Without a minister partner, the board needed to construct new bridges with staff and teams for last year's operation. As the year unfolded, we learned yet again the strength of our community is you, our members. Many of our congregation teams, in collaboration with our dedicated staff, created a pathway for inspiring Sunday celebrations and strategies for us to gather safely back in the sanctuary. To identify a pathway forward, the board connected with UUA and you through congregational conversations, and the board learned from the UUA that in the near future there are very few settled and interim ministers in search, and the immediate prospects for more candidates looks dim. While this was not great news, it alerted the board that we needed to think outside the box to create operation systems without a singular full-time minister. And without a UUA minister pool to draw from, the board created the Ministry Fulfillment Committee with the freedom to investigate other wells of talent to provide spiritual leadership for our congregation. We are pleased to report the results of that work and our pathway for governance and spiritual support in the coming year. A new operation structure has been developed and designed to work when we don't have a single minister or in periods of transition, or will stay in place to support ministers when we do have them. The new structure has two partners to support and take over the roles of the single minister. When you go into the parlor after today's celebration, on the bulletin board, you will see a new organization chart. This adapted organization chart shows the board, staff, and the two partnering teams that provide governance. The operations administrative team manages operations, including administration, and the ministry visioning team guides the ministry work of the church. Both are composed of one staff member, one trustee, and two members of the congregation that have 2-year term limits. Members of the operations administrative team are Michelle Waffner, our administrator, Walt Peck, our treasurer and ex officio member of the board, John Gaines, and Rod Howe. Members of the ministry visioning team are Emily Richards, our DRE and Congregational Life Director, and Peaches Gillette, Reverend Peaches Gillette, who is the Assistant Congregational Life Director, and then Nancy Miller and Joanne Kowalski, and then Don Rakow. So you can see the chart on the bulletin board, and members of the Board of Trustees will be available to answer your questions. The chart also shows the committees, which are advisory to the board, and teams, which are created to work on operational things within the congregation, and both have been in place before this new structure, so we just brought them into the organizational chart. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our wonderful dedicated staff are also included on this chart, so you can see where they fit in with the other aspects. So I wanted just to make you aware that the board is open to trying this for the next year, and we're leaving things open to see what happens, what we learn from that. We view this as a learning experience, and we've heard from Reverend Renee Ochusky, who is our liaison with the UUA, that this is cutting edge, and she's very excited for the prospects for our church. So we're hoping for the best. We welcome your thoughts and your questions and ask you to be open as well to this new structure and see how we can manage going forward. On the 29th of this month, Thursday, we will have a congregational conversation to go in more in depth for anyone that would like to spend more time discussing the structure and asking questions as we work our way through this. Please pay attention to the weekly announcements, and you'll be able to find more about that meeting. And finally, I'll just again remind you that trustees will be available this week and coming weeks near the organization chart to answer your questions. So I want to thank you for your patience and your support, and have a great day. Thank you.